All right, so this is a 76 to 79 bay window bus, and your steering column should be the same as this, where we have just the single switch that, not with all the wires and everything, so you'll understand. Once you take off your horn button, whichever style you have, obviously this one's aftermarket, that's fine. Get the wheel out of the way. And then inside of here, you're going to find like a spring. So take the spring out. And then inside of that, there's going to be a little cage in there. And you may have to move it back and forth. Don't break this. These are very difficult to find as well. But if you kind of move it side to side or whatever you need to do, there is a section where it can spread out a little bit, but what you want to do is you want to get this cage out, because this cage, and when you see it you'll understand what I mean. This cage is kind of a pain in the ass, but you do need it, so don't break it. This is what centers your steering wheel column within here, so you can see it wiggles a little bit more without this in there. So that's your cage. You can see it spreads apart, but it kind of opens up when it goes around there. But this sort of centers all of the bearing and everything else that we're going to get into in just a minute. So I find that if you take that off, that's how the rest of this becomes easier to get apart. So pry up and get the little, this just goes around where the key goes in. Take these 4 bolts out. I only have 3 because I broke one. But you should be able to kind of slide this out of here. There's 2 wires down below that go into the turn signals and the wipers. So those are those 2 plugs down below. There's another plug down here. There's a 3rd one. And that one is what plugs into the bottom of your ignition switch. So once you have that all done, this should, like, basically the whole piece should just slide out. You also have some hoses in here. This is for the pressurized washer fluid. I'm not really too worried about it. I'm not going to replace it right now. But this is where those 2 plugs plug into on the bottom. So all of your wires run down in these channels, and it runs right down the flat little section right there and goes down below. Don't lose your screws, and don't lose there's little spacers inside of there too, so make sure that these screws do not get lost. So put that one up here for right now. Now when we get into here, there are 2 screws on the bottom. This plastic piece is screwed into the bottom. There's like 2 bosses on the bottom, and I'll show you what that looks like. You have to go and get those screws out. One of them is a real pain in the butt because it's kind of underneath the little metal triangle thing that is under here. Anyway, so this is your bearing, and that's what this cage, when it comes down and comes through this thing, it basically centers your bearing on the shaft, if that makes sense. So that's kind of what this thing is for. There's a really stupid bolt that they put through here. I am going to put in just I think it's an 8mm or 6mm. It's this guy right here. I think it's an 8mm. Just a hex head, and that will go through in that hole where that little pinch bolt comes out. They call it a pinch bolt. Basically it's this bolt that is supposed to go in and snap off. That way somebody can't disassemble your steering column to pull the lock out and all that kind of stuff like that to steal your bus. So it's meant to be a pain in the butt. Whatever. Put it in, don't put it in. But once you take that out of there, just keep in mind that this might be corroded down in there, and that's what I found. I had to take a chisel, and I tapped on either side of this little these 2 little tabs down here just to spread the tabs out so it'll slide off of the steel piece. So once you get that all done, keep in mind that you're going to need to make sure that your steering wheel lock is unlocked, and then that slides out. So these are the 2 sections right here. From the top, you can just chisel them out a little bit to spread these out. That bolt will go right back into there, and it threads into this side. So this is going to hold wherever the height of this thing is going to be, so you can line that all up later, so you can get the gap out of it and all that good stuff like that. So I'll put those up there. And then this thing should just now come out. You cannot get this piece out with this on there, because when the two screws down here are in there, it's impossible, because you have to dip it underneath, so it's impossible to slide this thing on there with this attached to here. So these two need to be separated. This will just be loose in here, and then once you take that weird pinch bolt out, again, this is where all the plugs go and everything like that. Once you get it all out of there, this thing should just slide up. So I just kind of cleaned it up. I've already got my switch out because that's what needs to be replaced. There's a screw right down in here to get the switch out. But yeah, I mean, part number 211-905-851-BH in case you need that. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. And then I just kind of polished this up a little bit. I may put some graphite in there or something like that to make this thing slide on there a little bit better, because it seems like it's kind of catching. But other than that, I don't think it really needs to be. It's going to be all pressed together. And I cleaned up this. There's like a, as you can see here, well, you can't see, but this goes through. There's like a little oval cutout thing in there, and that's where that pinch bolt goes through. So it'll go through right in here, and so you'll have that much room to basically go up and down as that gets all put together. But like, I know that there wasn't very good videos out there for this, so I figured I'd just make a little bit better video for you. Let me know. I'm not trying to make any money off of this. I'm just doing this for everybody to not be as frustrated as I've been. This took me 2 days to get apart. Hopefully you can get it apart sooner than that. Like I said, this metal piece right here, when this plastic piece is down there, you can see there are two screws. There's one here and there's one here. This one is a real pain in the butt. So you kind of have to kind of wiggle this thing around as much as possible to get the first one out, wiggle it around, and then just get that screw out of there. I thought I stripped it out, but I didn't. It still works just fine. But just get whatever you can do to get that screw out of there. It is necessary to get those two screws out. Pull the plugs out the bottom. And then again, be very careful about this cage. You cannot buy these cages. You can only find them used. And it is very brittle. It's metal, but they're like little flexible tabs on a little flexible thing. So you can see it's flexible here and they flex out, and it's just basically, like I said, it's to center this bearing right here. That's the only thing is it's trying to do, is it's trying to center that on there, and then the spring actually pushes on that and that squishes it all together. So when you put your nut and your steering wheel and everything back on, it's basically shoving or keeping pressure on this going down. I threw some grease in there just to clean it up a little bit, but there you go. All right, keep wrenching, I guess.